cooperative society with the help of the cooperation department, and already there is a structure available of packs and lamps in Goa. It is a primary agricultural cooperative society and large agricultural marketing federation, lamps and packs. So those can be actually coordinated by the GFDC, and village-wise, if such cooperative organizations of cashew growers can be organized, then a revenue a stream can be opened, because now the Ministry of Cooperation, Government of India, is giving a lot of financial incentive to the cooperative sector, and this cooperative sector can be actually propagated to Government of India as one of the sector which will actually develop employment opportunities also to the remote villages in Goa. This will help not only GFDC, this will help everybody. And those cooperatives can collect the cashew together, village-wise or 2-3 village-wise in a zone. And they can be given some incentive to actually process those cashews in their own, some primary processing, and they then sell it. Then they can sell it either through GFDC, or they can sell it to the purchasers like Jatias, etc. So these market linkages can be made. So I request GFDC to consider this proposal. I think this is a very low-hanging fruit, and this can actually happen in Goa, because in many of the remote villages, many of the villagers who are not actually GFDC's auctioners, who are not having the GFDC's garden but having their own garden in a very small patch of land, they can actually come to the market in a big way through these cooperative societies. And for this, financial incentives will be available to all of them through the cooperation department. So that is, I think, the next step GFDC can take. This is my humble suggestion. If GFDC can consider it, it will be very good. Another thing is that now that we have exploited the cashew, we must now starting exploiting the apple on the top of it. And I am not talking about Feni. It can always be there. GFDC can co-brand some Feni with some good distillers having the GI tag, and can sell it through their through this brand, co-branded product. This can also can be done in Goa, because now I think one distiller has already got the GI tag. And this GFDC, because in their garden also, own garden, the auctioners, they also have these cashew apples are there. Along with that, some value-added products of the apple can also be now bought, like that cashew apple chutney or something like that. So it is already there in the market, some other brand name, somebody is already marketing it. So GFDC can do it with certificate or organic certified product, it can be sold. So through the Sylvan brand itself, some of those value-added products of the cashew apple now can be marketed, so that the sector as a whole develops. Not only the cashew, but the cashew apples also develop. And the apple which is generally thrown away or only made for urak and feni can have some other, I think he will be the best person to talk on this. But I just have an idea that this also can be done by GFDC. With this, I again wish. And another last thing is that we must record whatever the deliberation happens in these technical sessions, not only during this year, but what happened during the last 3 years also should be recorded properly, and a proceedings can be published by GFDC, so that these things remain for the posterity, and we can refer to those documents while deciding the policy issues in the government in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sri Kamal Datta sir, for that inspiring keynote address. Also for recognizing the efforts of GFDC in improving the incentives for cashew in the state of Goa, and also for appreciating the FDA department for cracking down on low quality cashews selling as Goan cashews. And we'll also look forward to the idea of forming the cooperative society for the betterment of the cashew crop in Goa. So, as a token of gratitude and respect, it is now time to present mementos to our esteemed dignitaries. May I request Sri K. Ramesh Kumar Sir, Managing Director, GFDC, to kindly present memento to Sri PCCF Sri Kamal Datta Sir. I once again request Sri K. Ramesh Kumar Sir to present memento to Sri Cashew Prakash Ji. Next, I request Sri Amar Heblekar Sir to present memento to Sri Santosh Kumar Reddy Sir, Board of Director, GFDC. I request Sri Amar Heblekar Sir to present memento to Sri K. Ramesh Kumar Sir, MD, GFDC. Finally, I kindly request Sri Abhishek Naik, RFO Botanical Garden, to present memento to Sri Amar Heblekar, GM, GFDC. These mementos symbolize our appreciation for their guidance and presence at this inaugural function. With this, we...
Sir, group photo. With the moment.
With this, we officially commence the technical sessions of Goa Cashew Fest 2026, Season 4. Over the next 3 days, let us engage, learn and contribute to shaping the future of Cashew in Goa. I now invite all to join us for the first technical session of the day 1, driving preference for GI tag heritage over alternatives to build value for Goa's producer ecosystem. I request our moderator Sri Cashew Prakash Ji to be on the dais. I request Sri Richard Norona, FDA Designated Officer, followed by Sri Deepak Parab Sir, Nodal Officer for GI and Project Scientist Environment, Goa State Council for Science and Technology, followed by Hansel Vaz Sir, founder of Kazulo Premium Feni, and Rohit Zatia Sir, Managing Director of Zatias. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the first technical session of Goa Cashew Fest 2026. Today we begin our journey of exploration with a topic that lies at the heart of Goa's agricultural and cultural identity, driving preference for GI tag heritage over alternatives to build value for Goa's producer ecosystem. This session celebrates provenance, a story behind our products, our people and our land. Goa's GI tag Feni and cashew nuts are not merely commodities, they are living symbols of craftsmanship, tradition and authenticity. By strengthening the preference for this heritage product, we empower our farmers, protect our local economy and elevate Goa's name on global stage. We deliberate more on this in detail. We are privileged to have with us an exceptional panel led by our moderator Sri Cashew Prakash Ji and an international renowned spirit educator whose deep understanding of provenance and authenticity will guide today's discussion. Joining him are distinguished panelists Sri Richard Norona, FDA Officer and Licensing Authority, FSSI, Sri Deepak Parab, Sir, Nodal Officer for Geographical Indication and Project Scientist, Environments, Goa State Council of Science and Technology, Sri Hansel Vaz, founder of Kazulo Premium Feni, and Sri Rohit Zatia, Managing Director of Zatia. Each of these experts brings a unique perspective from regulatory insights and scientific validation to entrepreneurial innovation and brand development. I now request Sri Cashew Prakash sir to kindly take over the session.
Thank you. My pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thank you, everyone, and good morning for showing up so early. A lot of you have traveled from far places, and I won't take. We'll jump straight in, correct, in the interest of time. The theme of season 4 of the Goa Cashew Fest is explore, empower, enrich. So let's do that. For our mutual benefits, let's take it. So Cashew and Feni GI, the strategic opportunities and value creation for Goa's producer ecosystem is the kind of the narrative for this technical session, right? But for an efficient discussion, let's jump in and address the realities of the industry so we can actually take back something to ponder upon, if not immediately act. When the department presented me with this opportunity, for which I thank, right? I had the privilege and the nice time talking to various stakeholders. So this session is really the culmination of about 10 days of interviews, meeting in person, and thank you all of you for your generosity, and many of them are sitting here. They're not on stage, but they are there. So I'm presenting here a kind of a summary of this discussion that has happened over the last 10 days, right? So the reality of cashew, right? Demand far exceeds supply, right? Processing units and traders of cashew simply cannot sustain if they stick to GI alone, right? And what happens in a bad harvest year? So this is the reality of it. And then there is the beauty of GI, which we will discuss during the session. The reality of Feni, I don't know where to start from. But it's actually good news, right? From what, in my interviews with people and discussion, I realize, and don't hold me to it, it's a very broad kind of an assessment, right? Is there are at least 3 coexisting worlds of Feni. There are the traditionalists, the GI compliant, wanting to be GI compliant because we are only one brand. Congratulations to that brand. That is Mr. Bhakta's brand, correct? GI compliant, starting something incredible. They're the custodians of heritage, protectors of the source code. That is what they stand for, right? But there is another equally exciting opportunity with the artisans. That is my word, and again, don't hold me to it, but I'm calling the traditionalists, the second band being the artisans. May or may not qualify under GI. It's their option to be in GI or not be in GI. But they are the creators, correct? They are adaptive, and they're currently forming a beautiful bridge from taking Feni to whatever it was, I don't want to stir a controversy over here, to a level where it is aspirational. They're creating a brand out of Feni. I see a lot of my friends who are not Goans visiting to say, I want brand A, B, C. It was not really the case. It was a drink contained to tavernas and retail shops, quick purchases, to now people are asking for Feni by brand names. It's incredible achievement over the last, I guess, 6-7 years, and started by, of course, many people here much earlier. So we call the traditionalists and the artisans. Then comes the 90+% of the market, which are the enterprise scale producers, non-GI maybe, but they drive scale. They drive the market presence in the category. That is the powerhouse of reality, correct? So there are the traditionalists, artisans, and producers. Like a forest ecosystem, considering this is being anchored by the forest department, each of these stakeholders, and Rohit, even for cashew, these things can exist. Each of these stakeholders play a very different but essential individual role in the ecosystem, correct? today's session is to explore that. Correct? Coexistence at its best. How about a framework where GI is not exclusive? Correct? GI can sit alongside others. GI can anchor price, drive value, and most importantly, take the positioning of Cashew and Fenny to the very top and hold it there. A lighthouse. Okay? Volume can be built at the base. Everyone is happy. All stakeholders benefit, especially the farmers. This is kind of the framework that I propose in today's, so we can take back something constructive. Richard, first question to you, right? From a regulatory standpoint, what is the one non-negotiable element that must be protected to ensure that Cashew and Fenny is trusted locally first to start with, and then we can take it global? Correct? Transparency, under which is under the control of FDA. What is it we could do?
Thank you. I think before I get to the exact point of this question, I would also like to throw some light of what we've done in the past 4 years since the festival have started. We've done a tremendous work as far as the cashew nut is concerned. And what we did is that we believe that before we start any enforcement activity, we need to understand the problem and we need to know where to hit. And that's what we were able to do. We could build a dialogue with the nut industry, with Mr. Zantier and all the others, and with the help of GFDC, we could come on a common platform, understand the problem, and then try to address the problem. And while we were doing so, we could get a considerable amount of success. Although I still believe we have a long way to go. We've touched upon maybe 2 or 3 major issues that we had, but we still have a lot of things to come. Now that you specifically asked me about the Fenny, I think that is one area where we have not really paid a lot of attention, but we have to get there. And I would again, take the same route, is that first have a very firm dialogue with the industry, understand what are the issues, and then try to address. As far as the non-negotiables are concerned, before going into GI, as the food safety regulators, for me food safety is most important. So I have 2 things here. I have the FSSAI standard and I have the GI. So these are 2 things that we have to protect. So whereas the FSSAI standard is concerned, it's a non-negotiable for us. So we have to protect the quality and what are all the malpractices that are happening. We need to understand from the industry. From a regulator's point of view, going and checking each and every person is not possible. So that is why intelligence is very important. And I believe after this session, we would like to closely work with the industry, build our intelligence, understand where the problems are, and then try to hit the problems. So that is what we are going to do. And what are the other things that are important is also the idea of idea of protecting what is Fenny, the identity of the spirit, by not going to some malpractices, by adding some other spurious things and diverting away from the definition of Fenny. That is what we have to protect, and also ensuring strict compliance to labels. So this is what we are going to look at, and we will be taking this up very seriously in our next enforcement drives that we do.
Thank you. Thank you. Deepak, we met and we spoke about how GI, Fenny and Cashew can evolve beyond just a mere certification. What does it mean to the end customer? How can it become iconic global brand, Goan Cashew and Goan Fenny? We remember we discussed about quality, process, and above all, how honesty in the system is what will truly help us get there. If you can expand on that.
Good morning. Actually, Goa Cashew or Goa Fenny, they are already global.
Yeah.
Global brand already because
Nice.
of the consistent efforts of the farmers or the producers and the industry. Because in Goa, cashew, we are not harvesting the cashew, we are plucking the foreign cashew. So that's a important factor in case of cashew, where the cashew kernel is entirely developed in the shelf life, and the protein and other nutrient content of the cashew has been fully developed. That's why the shelf quality and taste both have supported the Cashew to be a global brand. And that's why the other practice which has been happening in Goa now, that other Cashew is sold in Goa in the name of Goa. And that's why we need to implement a GI, so that we can restrict the other people to use the global brand of Goa. And see, regarding Feni, no sir, we have already, there are some one person, one district have come out with a GI branding. Likewise, the Cashew also GFDC already has been allotted the GI to use the bring their Selvan brand in the market. Unless this comes in the market, we cannot implement the GI Act. We want to implement the GI Act to support the customers and to support the farmers, producers also. But unless these people comes in the market with the GI branding, we cannot fully implement the GI Act. What are the difficulties these people face in the market to bring their product in the market, or what are the other things, misappropriation things or misinfringement things happens in the market that we cannot record and work out properly. Though government is coming out with some SOPs guidelines to protect the local producers and local farmers and local industry people, we need support from these people to come with the GI logo, GI branding first, so that we can formulate these rules and guidelines in more.
So you're encouraging more and more people from
Yes,
Feni
exactly.
to apply, to come into the GI camp.
Yes.
Got it.
We want at least 80% people has to come forward to major player in the Cashew and Feni industry to come in the market with GI tagging, so that it will help us to ascertain what are the difficulties we are coming out in implementing GI Act. And
Got
that
it.
guideline we can frame in a more better way, more ease of the producers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Rohit, from a producer's perspective, how does GI change the economics on ground? Does it genuinely improve value for the farmer and the ecosystem if everyone goes GI or majority goes GI? And second part, very important, how can GI and non-GI cashew coexist?
So let me begin with a brief about history of Goan cashews. So we all know that the Portuguese brought the cashew into Goa for 50 years back. Our family started the first cashew factory more than 100 years back. It's going to be almost 100 years since our family did the first exports from India in the year 1928. We will be celebrating that soon. Initially in India, there was no demand for cashews. And the only way the industry could survive was exporting. And there was a few cases of cashews being sold to Mumbai or Karachi market. Then slowly the industry evolved and the tourism started growing in India, in Goa. I remember we started our first store somewhere in 1975, and then that time also the sales were very less, as most of the tourists were international tourists coming to Goa. Slowly you had domestic tourists coming in Goa, and the industry in Goa started selling Goan cashews to them. You must have not, if anyone has been born and brought up in Goa, the Goan cashew industry didn't do any marketing about Goan cashews. It is a brand which is completely built by pure word of mouth. And for this, the credit has to be given to the industry stakeholders. That includes our family, the Lavandes, the Kamats, the Desais, all of them who had a factory in Goa and who made a point of buying local cashews and selling it to the tourists. That's how this brand was created. We saw a big boom in the domestic tourism industry from 2005 onwards. And tourists who came to Goa wanted to take back a part of Goa, souvenir from Goa. And the tourists understood through word of mouth or their past experience that Goan cashews are tasty. And there's a definite difference in the cashews available in Goa with what is available back in the state. Also, it's very important that the industry didn't price the Goan cashews very high. See, for any brand to be created, it all happens at a particular price. And cashew is a commodity, right? So the cashew industry priced it very reasonably. People bought cashews in Goa for its quality as well as its price. And they bought in volumes. Then we had traders, shop owners coming to Goa and taking the as the brand was strongly created, spreading across Goa and selling cashews. The trade became so competitive that just to compete with the fellow trader or shopkeeper, they started indulging in various fraudulent practices, like selling misweight, 500 grams, 400 grams was sold as 500 grams, mixing of good quality nuts with bad quality. And somewhere in 2018 is when I realized through social media that Goan Cashew's name is getting spoiled. So we as an industry visited and checked what is happening specifically in Kanagut side. We picked up some packet and we were shocked that one name was completely being misused. We made a representation in 2019, Richard, and then it was taken up by the department. Department has done a fabulous job. Somewhere during COVID, I got a call from Deepak saying that it's time for Goa to go for GI certification. I asked him, is it possible? He said, very much. And it's only an association which can apply for GI, not an individual company. I am also the president of Goa Cashew Manufacturers Association. And with the help of department and government, we have successfully got the GI for Goan cashews. And we waited for the launch. We got it 2 years back, but we want the systems to be so perfect regarding traceability. We are involving FDA, we are involving Department of Agriculture, also Department of Science and Technology, that from 2026 onwards, we have asked the industry stakeholders to also launch the GI cashews. Coming back to the question, GI for Goa cashew is for all the cashew which is grown in the state of Goa and processed inside Goa. It is very important for the industry also to benefit from it, because more than 2,000 workers are employed in this industry. Processed cashews outside Goa will not be considered for GI. And definitely it will coexist, because only GI certified cashews will be able to brand it as Goa cashews. The rest all of them are very free to sell it as cashews.
I think so. That's a very good practical attitude and approach, because as we know, there just isn't enough Goa cashews to go around. Hence, I was told that we just have to hand over the stage to you, and you, along with several peers present here as well, and those who couldn't make it, have played a significant role in breaking the caricature of Feni being a cheap drink. Along the way, that's where it got into, and are taking Feni into a premium position. But I'm not sure if you'll agree with me. I think given the opportunities globally, we've only scratched the surface. Correct? There's so much to do. What do you think is the single biggest barrier today preventing Feni from sitting alongside global craft spirits, be it small geographical spirits like champagne or anything else? What do you think is that single thing that could just tip us over, and when do you think we'll hit the tipping point?
You want the polite answer or the...
I think we are well guarded here, so you can go for it.
No, well guarded. I think 20 cameras. So
yeah, go for it. I think there's no point in having sessions where we are sugarcoating.
I think if everyone knows me, I don't sugarcoat things. But very clearly, I'll just tell you, 15 years ago when Kazulo was launched, Kazulo Premium Feni, it was a very different scenario. I started thinking about Feni 3 years before that. I mean, really, I've said this many times, but I thought I will recontextualize the category of Feni for Goa. It was not believable then, but that is what I was thinking. And I divided Feni into a language of color, textures, logos, patterns, and that's what I essentially converted a language of imagery, and then creating the imagery into something that will be emotive for people in Goa. I was very clear right in the beginning. If Feni has to go further, it has to be an ambassador for the land as well as the people from where it comes from. I'm very clear about that. But there was a big problem. This is me thinking. I was young, I had black hair, maybe more hair, but I was thinking then. But the problem is, what you think is not what the reality is. At that time, 15 years ago, 18 years ago, people till today prefer Feni that is loose. There's more faith in a Feni from a distillery that is brought. I'll say, Baba, I brought this from Kankon, I brought this from Perene, I brought this from somewhere, and you'll say that is better than what is in the bottle. What is believed in the bottle was a product with less soul, was polished, was industrialized. Somebody added something. There were 20 million questions, and so as an association, as myself, I was not part of the association then. I was invited into the association maybe a year after I started Kazulo, and it was very clear. We realized that we had to bring confidence in a bottle. First of all, that's the first thing we did. That you give recognizability of character and purity and honesty in a bottle. And so we also had to take a very clear decision among ourselves that we're going to come out with really good brands. And the first thing we realized about 13 years ago, there were 5 brands that suddenly came out. 5 good brands. And that was the push we needed for that category, which did not exist. It was called the premium category of Feni. Did not exist. There was just Feni. As he said, it was a commodity. Now we are creating it into premium Feni. There was Kaskar, there was Big Boss, we had Lebranza, not Big Boss, we had Fidalgo, Kazulo, and then Tinto followed much later. But we essentially created that premium category. Goenchi Feni joined, and now you have Ani joining later. But now we've really established that there's a price point of 900 rupees is now a good Feni. You want a good Feni, it's 900 rupees. But where we fail is what is the quality of Feni going inside? Are we changing the process? And this is what international people actually are questioning. If you see how Feni is made, sometimes it's probably not what is actually what people are stating. So you see on my Instagram page, and you actually see the reality in certain places. It's quite shocking. There's a complete dichotomy in actually what is black and white. We don't want that to happen. So it also takes education and bringing people together. So now you have to create an ecosystem. You have to convince people that we have to come together. If you ask me, the single biggest obstacle to take Feni internationally, make it that brand. So now we are ready. We've got good brands. We've also got brands that have come into the market adding energy. The social media is behind us. We've got the people behind us. Consumers are drinking it. Bartenders are serving it. So it's working quite well. But I think, and I'll be honest, the single biggest obstacle is the government. Will Mr. Pramod Sawant, will Mr. Modi hold that bottle of Feni and say, this is an original Make in India product? Now I'll make a point. When Gurudat Bhakta launched the GI Feni, the first heritage product from Goa, the first official spirit from India. Nobody had made an official spirit. There's no Mahua, there's nothing. That's all industrially made. Nobody's following policy. We are the first GI from India. Mr. Modi should have held that bottle and said, this is an original Make in India product and I am proud of it. He might not wear saris, but he goes and will promote a sari. He might not drink alcohol. We expect him to promote Feni. We don't want to promote it. Ensure that every embassy serves it. Ensure that every state guest comes into Goa, he should drink it. Come for a Feni experience. Incredibly, I'm not trying to be a suck up to anybody, but Ma'am Divya Rane did something incredible. She came out with the Cashew Festival. Kudos to her. But she did something very interesting 3 days ago. She said, Hansel, and she told one very interesting chef called Shubhra Sankwalkar, they said, we need to organize a Feni dinner. Feni and Cashew dinner. A Cashew dinner, she said. We had to serve everything with Cashew. And you know what she said? Like how in France they do, she said, she just popped the idea. Like how do we do in France? When we serve a wine and we serve this thing, we need to promote Feni. And we told her, you said, ma'am, I said, get the cream of Goa. She got the biggest families in Goa. She brought everyone, Timlo, Salgaonkars, everybody came. And it was incredible. Everyone sitting together. And we did the first Goan meal of cashew in every dish and cashew cocktails paired with it. It pushed us. So Shubhra had to create very interesting food, contemporary food that could also be international. And the second thing is we serve cocktails that will also pair with that, from palate openers to sorbets to final dessert cocktails. This should be served to every state guest who comes to Goa. Not essentially this, but this format, where you're coming and learning Goa. Because see, the cashew, as Sir said, what do we use the cashew fruit for? We need to push these boundaries, create identity. I'm not against any five-star hotel hosting dinners, yes. But we have also another big culture. We don't want to serve them butter chicken. We don't want to serve them Scotch whiskey. Serve them Scotch whiskey. But if I went to France and they serve me Scotch whiskey, it would be a travesty. They serve them cognac and champagne. And that's what we want. If the government can promote and say, this is our brand, come behind it, we will be the next tequila after Mexico. Tequila government support, the Mexican government support tequila. We need Indian government to support Feni.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think yes, government can walk one step, but the stakeholders could take another one. That makes it a total of two, right? We need to see the day where every restaurant here, the Asagaon restaurants or all the famous restaurants in Goa, proudly put out Feni cocktails, for which they need a quality product in the bottle first that is consistent, right? So there are several, but all I can see is opportunities, right? Now let's take a look at global examples where GI and non-GI coexist, right? We are addressing realities in this room. Champagne and sparkling wine, correct? Reason why I'm bringing this up is there are a lot of naysayers for GI from whom I was chatting with, but I'm trying to just open up some minds over here, right? Applies to cashew too. Champagne and sparkling wine. So GI champagne sits on top of the category. Market size, $25 billion globally. Okay? Riding along this wave is sparkling wine, non-champagne, $75 billion globally. Correct? Obviously, champagne cannot produce $100 billion worth of champagne. But they coexist where the top is pulling the bottom up. Beautiful win-win for all. Okay? Tequila. They're beautifully categorized into artisan, ancestral, artisan, and then just tequila, industrial grade. All of them kind of coexist. But here's one very interesting thing. Mixto, which is not, let's say, 100% pure agave tequila, right? Mixto tequila, which is probably the most popular, everybody's buying, everybody's drinking, is cheap. One would imagine the market share of Mixto versus 100% agave. The Mixto has a huge market share. It's contrary. It's the opposite. Tequila itself has a small $12 billion market share globally, whereas Mixto has only $5 billion. Why is that? It's because consumer is making the choice. In the first instance, there was a top category pulling the bottom. In the second instance, the consumer is winning. They are intelligent enough to make the choice. Go ahead, make GI. Go ahead, make in between. Go ahead, make the mass. Consumer decides, right? Parmesan cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano, which is again similar to GI, right? Selling for 3x more price, 3 to 5x more price than the regular Parmesan. They sit on the shops next to each other. The informed consumer knows to pay 3 to 5x more for GI. So you make the choice of what product you want to make, right? Consumers smart enough to do it. Darjeeling tea, case in point, correct? Darjeeling tea today is a global kind of a brand, and it's clearly demanding the price, right? So let's set ourselves for success here, via GI. Given the practicalities and challenges we face, coexistence is required to build the category for both cashew and Feni, correct? This is kind of the point that Rohit, you also made. You yourself have to sell kind of non-GI product because of the so many shops that you have, the demand that we have. but there is a place for GI based cashew, correct? Category building power. GI can transform a local product into global. Tequila, champagne are blueprints. Premium story at the top creates demand at all levels. Hansel.
So this is a good question, and we've deliberated this a lot at the association. And how do we keep everyone happy? One is because there are people who might not want to be GI because simply there's paperwork involved, and if there's paperwork involved, then there's scrutiny and there is also evidence. Some people don't want that. And we fair enough understand. If I'm bringing cashews from Maharashtra, then I don't want to put anything on paper. And if I'm from Goa and I don't have any cashews in my property, then I don't want to keep any paperwork as well. But there's a problem in Goa right now, and this is essentially an existential crisis, especially in North Goa. The way we are selling land, there is no cashews in Goa, in North Goa, not South Goa. North Goa has a huge problem. Where are the cashews coming from? The consumer wants a product at an essential low price. So he's saying, give me the price, I don't care what your product is, give me the cashews. So cashews are coming in a huge way from Maharashtra. And this is where we actually, and you realize that there is a taste. An average person does not know, but one thing that after tasting, and that's what we do at the Fazenda Kazula, where we do tastings regularly, and we also do education programs with schools and colleges and IHMs. We're doing one thing very clearly. We're essentially breaking down Feni into a breakup of taste and flavor. What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What is essentially a good Feni? What is a bad Feni? There was an interesting story. There was a Japanese bartender who came last year, Hiroyashi Kayama, very well known. He's one of the most biggest influencers in the world. You introduced him to India a few years ago. Now the whole of India adores him. Great guy. He came down to Goa, and they told me, the people who brought him said, we're giving you only 15 minutes with him. And I said, don't bring him. He called me up separately. He said, Hansel, I want to see the Feni. So I showed him the Feni, and then I immediately realized something. This guy's been coming. He's come 3 times to Goa, and he's only seen good distilleries because I've taken him to GI standard distilleries. So I told him, I said, this is nonsense. I said, you know what? I said, because I realize everyone wants a piece of him now. I said, you know what, Kayama-san, I'll show you what is a bad distillery. And he was like, wow, I want to see a bad distillery. What is a dirty distillery? What is a terrible? We went to a distillery somewhere in North Goa, and we went to 2 distilleries actually. We went to one distillery where we saw these UP buyers standing on top, champing the cashew, pushing all these things. And then we realized there's a total dichotomy. What people actually are seeing, they're seeing good Feni, but there's also bad Feni coming out. We went to 2 distilleries, and he picked up from one distillery, he picked up a nice bottle of Feni. I said, take a good bottle. He said, can we go back to the bad distillery? I said, why? He said, I want a bottle of bad Feni, and I want to have a reference in my library of what a bad Feni is. For me, this was interesting. For the first time, an international guy was actually realizing that he realized for the first time there's quality differences between good and bad Feni. But I see it differently. There's also process difference. And I've said this last time. Process defines product. Incredibly, we have not looked upon Feni, the processes, differently. Through GI, because I've been an integral part, not of cashew, I've been an integral part of coconut. Because cashew came much before my time. The GI had already been written. But through research, I have found very clear process differences in Feni distilleries in different parts of Goa. And what I've done now is I've created a reference library where I can taste the difference. So today I've come to a point where you can give me a blind tasting of a Feni, and I can tell you from which particular region it comes. Now, this is interesting because when it comes to Scotch, when it comes to wine, when it comes to cognac, cognac is one region, but you should know the basic difference between a cognac and say an Armagnac. You should know between an Islay versus a Highland. But when it comes to wine, it's much more difficult. And so you have to discipline your palate. So what we have done, what I realize is now we have to do the next big thing to the population is educate them on the terroir. Terroir is the soil that makes it different. And how do you make that different? Because when you talk about terroir, we use wild yeast. So there's no standard yeast. So I've now got in touch with an institute to actually map the yeast species in each of these distilleries. So when you're talking about GI, when you get a bottle of Kazula or GI, you will not just see, you will see the process difference. I'm going to define the process for the first time. I've kept this under wraps for a long time. But you see the process. Why this process is giving this flavor? Why this elevation? Why this soil type is going to give this flavor? Why this yeast is determining what flavor? And we spent quite a lot of money on that, trying to get how the yeast consumes the sugars and produces a layered complexity which is different from Valpoi to say what is happening in Kansauli. And what's happening in Kansauli is different from what is happening in Kanakod. When you start doing that, educating the people, coming out with respectable packaging, then you can command a better price in the market. This will drive the market, international market. This is the kind of products Kayama-san wants. This is the kind of products that bars in London want. This is the kind of product that India will be proud to serve, to give as a state gift to someone else. It's important to also mention who's making it. Because what we don't have monkeys pressing buttons and say A plus B. Feni producers are also artisans. And this artisanal knowledge has been passed from generations. So it's important to mention their name as well. So when the CCF said that we're going to make some Feni from collaborate, it's important. If a person is making it in Bali and he knows the know-how and that's determining the taste difference, you have to put his name on that. And so I think that will actually drive the category difference in making Feni from a commodity, just like any Feni, to saying I'm going to pay for a Valpoi Feni separately, or I'm going to pay for a Bali Feni separately, or I'm going to pay for a Bicholi Feni because it is different. And automatically all this bad Feni, good Feni conversation will stop. Because automatically when you get that price, and that is what I'm talking about when I talk about the base price. What is the base price today of Feni? Is anything that you can squeeze out of that particle. You can pay him 100 rupees a litre, you can pay him 150 rupees a litre, maybe push it for 300. But is that going to sustain the generation next day? Do you think his kid, he might not use a smartphone. Today's kids want smartphone and Reebok shoes. They want better money. So we have to increase the base price of that Feni for everyone. And that's why we finally realized we have to address Mr. Deepak Parab. He said he wants, in his words, 80% of the market to come into GI. So 80% of the market has to come to GI, the producers have to get the money, not me. First, they have to get the money. So we have to take up that base price from 250 to maybe 600, 700 rupees, so then he's happy. He can invest in good product, and when he's assuring me of a good product, then only can I sell a good product to Mr. Kayama-san.
Thank you. I've got a warning on the time indication, so we're going to just kind of wrap this up.